Just a reminder that you are muted at the moment.
All right. Are we ready?
Sounds good. Good luck.
Some
We're gonna
echo.
mute this to avoid feedback.
Feedback. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready? All right. So welcome to the October meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Library Trustees. And I'm John Johnston, Vice President, and we go around the table and introduce everyone.
Sharon Fitzsimmons.
Chuck Stein.
Dorothy Waters.
John Walters.
And thank you. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any? Okay, I'm sorry. Caitlin, if you could introduce yourself. Yeah, mute.
Caitlin, you might be on mute.
Hi, Caitlin. Can you hear?
It looks like she's not dropping anything in the chat either.
Okay. She could work on that. Okay. Should we wait for her to reconnect? Okay. All right. And the first item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
And two quick things. Under new trustee business, just update on where we are with the applications for the trustee position. And under old trustee business director goals.
Okay. All right.
And Judith Wynn won't be here, so there probably will not be a treasurer.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that correct?
Well, actually, I'll have some questions during that time, but it could possibly be here.
I'll have some questions during that time because the board last month talked about dispersing some funds. So we'll give you a list, requested list of where those funds might go, but you probably want to put off that decision until next month.
Okay. And I think the treasurer's report is normally quarterly anyway, correct? Yeah.
So I move that we accept the agenda.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next is the approval of the minutes from last month, September.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
I move to approve the minutes.
All right. Can we get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. And I believe next celebrations.
So I'll keep my seat. I will need to have you sign this before we're done today. We have one hip hip hooray today, and this is for Naomi Cole. And we acknowledge Naomi for exceptional efforts in training 3 new staff members. Her dedication to imparting knowledge of library operations and promoting excellence in customer service is greatly appreciated. So thank you, Naomi, very much for service above and beyond.
Great job. All right. Next, we have the president's report and the monthly expense ledger and the credit card reconciliation.
A question on the credit card statement? Oh, I'm sorry, we're doing that. Sorry.
What's
No,
that?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Next one. Okay.
Yeah.
For the August 26th, what's OWL Labs?
That is a new system for meetings. You'll actually see it on the October 21st meeting in the Longfellow room. It's a new camera.
It's called an owl, and it has like a revolving eye that will turn toward the person who's speaking. So it's just a much more sophisticated camera system for facilitating meetings. And we've given it a try for an FOL meeting. It's working really well.
Okay. If there are further questions about the ledger, entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion that the EALs and the credit card statement be approved as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we don't have a treasurer's report as such, but
Okay, well, so last month, the board indicated that they may wish to do some work with some of the funds that have been sitting there for quite some time. And we talked with Judith, and we indicated that our first priority is that the board continue to fund once a year an intern. So Judith is going to look at the funds that exist and see at a 6% return, how much money would need to be there in order to continue funding an intern once a year. But she indicated last month, come up with a list of about $40,000 in case we do wish to disperse some of that money that had been sitting there for a number of years. And in your packet, you have a list of things. It is more than $40,000, but just some of the priorities that we have for how that money might be dispersed. And next month, when Judith is back, I assume what you'll do is you'll just take a look at this list then and decide if any of those funds that you wish to act upon, once we kind of know the number that it will take to continue funding the intern. So for $10,000 is Decodable Readers. These are phonic-based early reader books from Benchmark. And that's the phonics system that's currently used in our school. So we make those available to family support at-home practice, which is aligned with classroom instruction. And that would be about $10,000 to get those. And we think that that would be a great investment for developing early childhood literacy and then into school literacy as well. Recordable books for the detention centers. What this would amount to is that if someone's in a detention center, they may not obviously have access to their children. So we would have them read, and that book would then be sort of recording be given to the child along with a copy of the book itself for at-home reading, and then the child can connect with a currently temporarily absent parent and also build those literacy skills as well. So about $4,000 for that.
Michael, how
Yeah.
many of those are there? It sounds like it's not a reusable asset. It's a gift to the child. So how many are included in that $4,000?
Sandy did this, and she calculated out, and honestly, I apologize, I don't remember, but she did tell me it's a certain amount per year, that she's trying to get. I think this would get it started for a year or two. Yeah. So this would be the start of the program.
Right. I just wondered how many books would be delivered
And
for
she
that money.
did send it to me, but I
Okay.
don't remember.
Sure.
And she is at a conference for mobile libraries this week.
Oh, cool.
Sharon, to your question though, can it be recorded over by another person?
Well,
We-
I think the point is that the child gets to keep it and can
Yes.
listen to it over and over again. And so it's a book that comes as a gift to the child
And you,
since their parent is absent.
Yes, it is not returned to us. So they get a
Yeah.
book, they get the recording, and they'll get a stuffed animal.
get a stuffed animal toy as well. So it's just kind of a way to foster literacy and also make that connection to a family. And I anticipate at least 25
Okay.
for that amount. But we'll get you an exact number forward. Additional makerspace supplies would be something that would be very useful for us. So pottery wheels would be a nice addition to that. Loom supplies. So we're trying to launch a community loom initiative that would involve people of all ages and skills, from beginners to experts. And so we need heddles and shuttles for existing looms, and I don't know what a heddle or a shuttle is. Anybody do weaving? What are these?
The shuttle is so when you have a loom and it has the yarn on it, the shuttle is what passes the yarn that goes the other direction. I don't know the heddle, but
Okay.
the shuttle I know.
A loom weaving kit will allow us to have people create straps and narrow bands. We see that our sewing programs are continuing to grow in popularity, especially those, as you see, working on stretched fabric. So we need some additional tools and equipment to help support that. Large format printing.
How many surgers would you expect this is? Just one? A serger is like a sewing machine. as I
Mhm, yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I believe it's one at the
It's
moment.
one, yeah. But it would depend, within that amount of 2,500, that would cover all these things.
Right.
So that would only be one, yes. And we do have experts who tell us, you can get the top of the line singer and that's okay, but if you go for the bass line, it's not so good. So we do have people who are advising on this, staff members who are quite adept in this. Our large format printer will print like banners and signs, and we're starting to run low on those supplies of both the poster paper and the laminator film, and some book nook supplies. So that makes a little diorama. So we need wood mini ladders, mini books, mini plants, mini paintings, and flooring for the book nook. And finally, just supplies for a Cricut cutter. That's basically 3 new cutting machines for that.
And
A
that's
piece-
all that is in the 25.
that would all be 2,500, yeah.
Okay.
PC upgrade at Lexington Park. We do have the foundation giving money for basically 10 PCs here, but in order to do a full upgrade, we would need an additional $15,000. They're fairly expensive.
Are we being impacted by the discontinuing of support for Windows 10?
Yeah, exactly. These are all upgrades to Windows 11 machines, because Windows 10 is not going to be supported anymore. We are trying to get a grant for sliding doors out front here at Lexington Park in the entrance. They will help improve the environmental footprint and also just be much more convenient for our customers. And so we're looking to get that. It's $25,000 cost. We are hoping to get a $20,000 accessibility grant, and we've applied for that. And then we need 5,000 more to make that happen. Over the next page, we've had some UV lamps donated here at Lexington Park, and they would go up in the ceiling, pointing basically upwards with airflow going over them. And the idea is that they help to make the air much less free of any kind of floating, bacteria, viruses, and they do work very well with that. We cannot just, throw them out there. You can't look into these without damaging your eyes. So they will be mounted close to the ceiling facing upwards where there's airflow. So we need them professionally installed. So that's something that we're looking at doing. We would like a new sign out front in this library. And Amy, you just got a quote for that. Was it $9,000?
Yes, 9,102 and 23 cents. New paper I put in front of everyone has the quote on it.
Thank you. I still have this one. And finally, replacement tablets for our technology and STEM program for like $6,000. So for now, please ask questions about any of these, but we're not expecting you to make a decision until we know what amount we'll need to continue funding that intern.
I have two questions.
Sure.
Where you have to get quote from Larry's Electric or we'll get quote 9102. We got a quote. Did we get multiple quotes or did we get one?
So Larry's Electric is the electric company that the county government contracts out to. So we are able to kind of write on that contract. And then we asked for a sign specifically that would match the style of the Leonardtown Library sign. And so we went to Hilltop Graphics to get that quote because the county said that that's where that they got the sign installed from.
So the answer is no, you didn't get multiple quotes.
Well, not yet.
And should you get another quote from Larry's other than Larry's Electric?
Well, we can reach out and try. If that's the ones the county use, we kind of count on their service. But we can try to get more quotes for you. It's not required until it's $15,000, but yeah.
It's not required maybe by law, but it certainly wouldn't hurt if we're concerned with saving money to get.
Sure, well, we can work on that.
Yeah, okay. I have a second question.
I'm sure. I just want to address that one for a second. We do want to make sure that this would be somebody who would have experience working with this kind of lamp, with this kind of UV.
Sure.
Yeah, so
Sure.
Other than that, we'll happily get a second quote.
Yeah, just I think in general, if you get multiple quotes, then we can be comfortable that you got it at the best possible price.
Okay.
And that's sort of what I'm interested in.
All right, sure. And we'll follow up with that on you for next month.
So my next question is, are these in priority order?
That was my question too.
No, they're not.
So what would be helpful is if we're going to approve them, if we knew what your priorities were.
These are all our priorities. And so we gave you many options to choose how you would like to spend your money. These are all priorities. They're from all of our branches. So everyone is going to have a different priority. Amy's going to choose hers as Lexington Parks as a priority. Leonardtown is going to choose theirs as a priority. Mobile Library is going to choose theirs. So for us, all of these are priorities and we will accept whatever you choose that you would like to spend the funds on.
So essentially we should think of them as all being things you really, 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 really want.
That would be accurate.
And so it's up to us to decide for you which ones you can have.
Well, we're trying to be respectful here. It's your money. But if you would like me to come up with my list of priorities, I'll do that.
I think it would be
Disappointing my
important to know
library
what
staff.
management's
Yeah.
priorities are,
Okay.
because we want to support you.
When we have a staff meeting next Tuesday, and I'll bring this forward there and just say, okay, folks, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
And-
and
Mhm.
I think, I mean, it could be as simple as that. These are priority ones, these are priority twos. And then when we're looking at them, we have a way to say, okay, well, all the priority ones are here, let's give them that and let's do
Mhm.
whatever we can, but we're interested in operating in your interest as,
All right.
because we don't.
All right. Well, at the top of my personal priority list, I think we have to have those PC upgrades. And then those decodable readers, I think, are going to make a big impact. And that will be system wide. So I think that if you think of those as our temporary 1 and 2, that those will be probably what I'll bring to you next month. But again, I like to sort of, talk with my staff and have them say,
Sure.
Michael, I've got to have this.
Yeah.
All right.
And then if it turns out that for another couple $100, we can give you one of these additional ones
Mhm.
above the 40,000, then we're in a position to sort of be positive about that and,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Happy
Okay.
to bring that to you.
Cool.
For clar-
Michael,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
For clarification on the sign, this branch has been open now for a number of years and don't have a clear memory of what the access looked like before FDR went through. So it was assumed that back then that everyone would be coming into the library from Shangri-La.
That's correct, because FDR didn't used to go through.
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone came in at this corner of the library. But we're finding that now that almost everyone comes in from Great Mills onto FDR, it does cause confusion for folks. And so we would like some kind of sign at the actual new entrance to the library.
Michael, back to the UV lamps. I see that they were a donation. Back in the COVID day, did we not successfully use an on-floor air purifier that worked wonders under those circumstances?
No, we did not.
So-
In the corner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought no, that's not UV. I thought you were asking about a UV item.
No,
Okay.
I'm asking
No,
about.
we have those came from a grant from the health department. And they are $1,000 each, and we got 120 of them. So the health department did very well by us. You see, we're still using them. Our issue with those is that we're running out of the filters for them. Those filters do have to get changed, and obviously use great care when you, especially during COVID times, you're changing those filters. So we do not yet have a source for redoing those, but I would say these other things would be higher priorities for now. But yes, we did get a handheld UV system during COVID. But we were advised that it should never be used when the public was in the building because you can tell people, don't look at this. And what are they going to do? So the idea was that after every computer use, and this is when we were more, early on, we were really concerned. Nobody knew exactly how it was being transmitted. We thought every computer use was a possible risk. So we were going to go around after each computer use and try to do that. But we decided that it was just too much of a possible hazard. So we were able to return and get our money back. But yes, those are still here.
And we were looking for replacement filters because we're, a number of years into using these, and the sole source of replacement filters that work for these machines has them priced at $250 each. So that was just a very, very significant investment that we thought we could reduce that cost by accepting this donation of UV lamps in order to cut down on viruses.
Thank you.
And they've been around for 5 years now, and they've certainly served their purpose. we have asked the health department, well, do you want them back? Or and so far they haven't really said they really need them back. So we'll just keep using them as long as we can. But thank you, John. That's a good question. And I'm sorry I misunderstood it from the start.
All right, so that will be next month. And for the Smirla report, I have a family commitment, so it won't be at the Citizens of Maryland Libraries tomorrow. But the next meeting of Smirla will be next Tuesday at 4. And those are entirely Zoom.
Quick update later this month. Ashley, the director at Smirla, has arranged for us to have a call with Senator Van Hollen. So the 3 counties are going to be meeting, certainly with his staffer, and we think we may actually get some time with the senator himself, although with the shutdown going on, that may not happen. And we're just going to give updates on some of the things that the federal money that gets passed down through the state has gotten the library. And you'll be hearing about a couple of those later today. But also we'll be talking about the service, the outreach we're giving to the Veterans Home through the mobile library, which was funded with that kind of federal funds to start with. And we'll basically also be talking about a couple of other sort of initiatives that the other counties have done, just to indicate thank you for your support for LSTA funding, Library and Services Technology Act funding going forward.
All right. Next, we have the director's report.
Okay, well, speaking of shutdowns, our fiscal year 26 budget, we've received a number of queries from library users. Are you closing? And the answer is no. We are funded through the state about 22%, by the county about 76%. Those are rough, but they're pretty much where we are. So we are going to remain open fully. We know this is a very stressful time. We too are seeing direct impacts. We have staff members whose spouse or partner is furloughed, and we know that this is a difficult time in St. Mary's County. The library will remain open. We're going to continue to give our great service. The only possible impact will be long-term. If the shutdown is prolonged and we see economic loss at the state and the county level, that could affect this year's budget. Right now, we're not anticipating that. So we're hopeful that this will end soon, that we will continue, however, to give service. And then in terms of the budget update itself, you have an updated one that just has a couple additional grants in it from the one you initially received.
Michael,
Yeah.
just to be clear, there was an updated budget given to you at your spot. It has the pink
Yes.
on the top corner.
And
This replaces the one that was in the package.
yeah, it just has a couple of additions to it. So we've got all kinds of things here. There it is. So looking at this, there's a couple of things of note about it, and one is on page 2, with 25% of the budget passed, and this dates to the end of last month. We see Lexi Electric still at 44%, and we think over time that will balance out. But yes, that is high. We think we've budgeted enough to cover it for the year. It was in excess of kind of what we had last year, but as these things continue to possibly go up, we'll just have to see where that budget line is.
Michael, have
Yeah.
we had SMECO come in and help us assess the building and see? I thought I remembered that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think we did a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We did in fact do that. And the SMECO representative reached out to the county who owns the building, and I know they tried to set up several meetings, but I don't know kind of what happened with those. They were talking about a possible reset on the temperature, among other things. And you know, that would be more between SMECO and the county. But yeah, we did have them come out and do an assessment.
Okay.
Does our system allow for timed reductions like evenings or holidays?
We have no control over the system whatsoever. So again, that's a county thing, but the answer is yes, it is supposed to adjust for non-use times. But you know, so if we're here and it's cold, and often the summertime it's extremely cold in the building, we can call them and say, can you please do something? But we don't really have the ability to set anything ourselves here. It's all automatic.
Right.
On page 3, you'll see that virtual services contracts are at 38%, but that's not a surprise. Those are front loaded in many cases. So we don't anticipate that going over the amount we've got budgeted. Over on page 4, you'll see under furniture and equipment that a number of items are kind of well above, especially admin at 91%. If you've been in the conference room at the Leonardtown Library, you'll see that we've put in new cabinetry in that facility rather than the tables that were there, and that's the source of that expense, basically. It's trying to improve the storage in the building. A beautiful building, but it, like most libraries, does lack in storage. And we don't anticipate those budget lines exceeding what we'd expect, just because we have control over those. Once you've spent your money, you've spent your money, you don't get any more. Over on page 5, the FOL gave us 50,000. We've spent 7,353. Just so you know, we are going to spend all that money this year, and also any money that was left over in Friends account from last year, we'd like to have it down to 0 at the end of the fiscal year. So if you look on page 11, I'm sorry, let's look at page. You'll see, let's look at page 8 first. You'll see grand total income with board finances is negative $112,296. That's because as of the end of last month, we hadn't received a county payment that is due. And so the county funding, if you look at that, it's way down, but we have received that since then. So that negative amount is not there. On page
So
11.
question on that.
Yeah.
Did that miss a normal time schedule for that payment, or you say we didn't have it by the end of this reporting, but
No, it was scheduled to be delivered on October 1st and it was transmitted to the bank on October 1st and we had access to it on the following Monday. But this is only goes through September 30th.
okay, so let me see if I can phrase this then. Is that typical for it to roll into
Yes.
the month in which we are otherwise expecting it?
I have a letter that states when they're going to give it. They made that decision up front, and their date was October 1st.
The money is there. We're
And that's why the fund balance is so important, because these things don't always line up.
That is right. And we actually ran out of money a week and a half before the end of the year. So I did pre-pull the state funds that were dropped in at the end of September. So I pre-pulled them so that we had enough to pay payroll. And then waited until this week to pay the rest of our bills, which none of them were overdue, but I generally pay early. So I had to hold bills.
Do you have any notion as to why they didn't do it on time?
They did do it on time.
Yeah, their schedule was October 1st.
Oh,
It's
I
just
see.
that this statement ended on September
September
30th. So
Right.
it doesn't include that amount, just letting you know,
I
it
misunderstood
is
what you
there, you know, it's not that we are desperately wanting for, well, we are always desperately wanting for money, but we're not desperately wanting that particular amount of money.
We always run out of money at the end of the second month because we get both of our payments at the same time, usually in the same week, for 2 months. And so we are maxing out at the end of that second month generally. And to say we ran out of money, I have money in there, but I'm going to keep a small amount so that if there's an emergency payment
Sure.
I need to make, then I can do that. So I'll hold any other bills or any large bills that need to come through. But we are essentially out of funds.
I would also imagine there is I've seen this in my own personal accounts, that there's some oddness between payroll being every 2 weeks and the income being monthly.
Right. Yes, there's that. And if you look at the last page where you can see our actual treasurer's account, you'll see that there's actually 200,000 in the bank at the end of September, without any of those transfers. It's just that, in QuickBooks, that's not how much I have because I've paid bills that people haven't cashed checks for. So I know that that is significantly less than what's actually in the bank. So just to make sure that all those bills or checks that are sent can be cashed if they arrive within those last weeks, I also don't pay anything else.
And speaking of the last page, if you go to page 11, you'll see our unexpended fund balance is listed as total fund balance available minus is $477,470. Our monthly expenses are $475,470. So we're $2,000 above that minimum. So by the policy you've set, we're just fine in terms of the amount of that fund balance. If it were to get to over 2 months, which would be $950,940, then you could say, all right, we can start to disperse some of that, but I don't think we'll ever get to close to $1 million just sitting there. So too bad. But so that's sort of a brief overview. Are there any line items on which you had questions?
I have a question about the big picture. I know it's very murky from Washington on down, but have you heard any conversation at the state level about what happens if Maryland is somehow penalized or intentionally or unintentionally delayed in federal funding showing up?
Well, what I've heard is that the legislature had last spring, when they were closing the books, said we may have a emergency meeting in the fall to see where things are. I heard at the meeting this past Tuesday night that right now Maryland's funds are exceeding what was anticipated. So they're not going to have that special budget meeting. As you say, though, John, the situation is extremely murky. And I wish I could answer that question definitively, either one way or another. But I don't think anybody yet knows. Obviously, the shutdown is going to factor into this, especially if there has been some talk, I'm trying to be very politically neutral here, of not funding furloughed employees. And that could be a significant ding in Maryland's budget because of tax revenue. So I think we have to wait and see how this situation comes out before we say this or that. I will say that right now, we've not heard anything that the state will not meet the budget or the county will not meet its budget.
So what I'm hearing is that the state, at least looking at its own revenue flow, feels okay that it will be fine with those dollars coming in.
Yes, if, let's assume we have a speedy end of the shutdown, what I'm hearing is that the state revenue will, meet the current budget.
Okay.
And so the concern long-term is perhaps next fiscal year, what that budget's going to look like. We'll know more when the governor presents his initial budget to the legislature in the upcoming session as to what those expectations are.
Thank you.
Other questions about? Okay, well, let's move on to what's happening in your library. I'm just going to pass something around very quickly. And you don't have to take a long look at it, but this is the Library and Book Trade Almanac, in which you'll find I have a piece. I would like to get it for the library, but it's $350, so it's not necessarily something that the library is ever going to collect. But I get a copy. So other things that we have done here, and you've got a kind of a listing of them. We had quite a bit of activity in our story times at Leonardtown. We're doing something called headshots at the library. People can come in and have a professional headshot done. And those have become so popular that we're having to schedule more sessions for them.
Like for job resumes, that sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They could also be used as a passport photo. We had another big month for outreach with lots of activity there. And we had our highest month of circulation so far with the mobile library in September 2025. We submitted all the information to the auditors, and more information about that later, including a visit from the auditor shortly. You do have the audit. It's been presented to you now. Obviously, you won't have had time to look at it in depth. So the audit visit day, they're just going to talk about what that process was. And on the 21st this month, you have a session. You'll be able to review that audit, and then the auditors will be meeting with you again during that session for your detailed questions. That's where you would be able to vote to approve the audit. And that meeting has been announced as a public meeting. People will be able to join via Zoom if they wish to see that. It cannot be a closed meeting. We don't have the, under St. Mary's County Closed Open Meetings Act, you're not able to close for that particular session.
That meeting will be here, the 21st, I believe, right?
In the Longfellow room.
Yeah, here in the Longfellow room, but the public may join via Zoom if they wish as well. And we've put that information out. And you may join by Zoom as well as you need to. We did present you last year, the fiscal year 25, with the budget reconciliation request. And our customer survey is now out and public. So if anybody of the public is listening, please go to your library website. You can find the you can find the survey listed there. It was also sent out via email, and we have it on social media. So please consider telling us what you think of your library, what you like, and any possible ways you think we could give you even better service. But I'm going to turn it over to Amy at this point, who's going to tell you more about some specific grant requests that we have had mercifully given to us. I will say one thing quickly, and that is the Library Services and Technology Act. That's the federal money passed down to the state, which is given away on a competitive basis. That money is there. It has already been given to the state. It is waiting at the state to be dispersed to us as we spend. So there was talk earlier this year about closing down the Institute of Museum and Library Services, about not funding LSTA this year. It is funded. Amy, take it away.
Michael, can I ask, what's this library at home services from the mobile library? I can tell you a little bit about that. So, it's Sandy's project with the mobile team, but we are currently in an investigative stage to see if there are people who are recipients of Meals on Wheels who would also like to receive library materials. So the mobile team would essentially have the person would sign up for this service and then they would be able to select books to put on hold, and then those would be delivered to their home and then they would be picked up from their home. So it's very specific. There are requirements that somebody needs to meet in order to have this service. But right now we're just trying to figure out how many people we could accommodate. So the first step was sending out a little rat card to the Meals on Wheels recipients with information about this potential service and saying, if you're interested, please call this number. And then we're just taking their information right now. So we don't have data yet on how many people this would serve, but I mean, we know how many people receive Meals on Wheels, but we don't know if all of them would want to receive this service or not, because a lot of people do have like family that helps them with this. But we know that there's some people in the community who would need to have the service in order to utilize our materials. So that's the project. We're at the very early stages, but the rat cards did go out into the community. So we're kind of waiting to hear back how many people are interested. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Great question. We've been wanting to do some sort of service to the homebound for a long time. Obviously it is staff intensive to do it ourselves, but if we could work with the Senior Activity Center to do it through them, we think that we'll be able to manage it.
Do they have anything like that going now?
You know, delivery of library materials.
Well, anything with shut-ins.
Yeah. Meals on Wheels does take meals to people at their homes, and they deliver them once a day to certain clientele.
And is that the only program?
It's the only one I know of.
I remember also King County Library System used to have books delivered directly to recipients via U.S. Postal Service book rate. And I know that's not something for everyone, but that might be something that could also fit this need. Yeah, it's one of the things we're actually looking at, kind of depending on numbers. So depending on how many people are interested, that is one of the things. Sandy's done a lot of research because there's actually several libraries in Maryland who have that service, the mail service. And so kind of looking at the cost of just like driving it to them versus the cost of mailing it to them. And also just with our collections being relatively tight, how long is the material going to be out? So all of that is in consideration, but the first thing we needed to know was, does anybody want this service and how many? So as soon as we know that, we should have more information on like how we will proceed. Perfect.
And if, you know, so we've been looking at a mail service many years ago, but it will depend, as Laura is saying, on the number of people who do it. I mean, if it's 2 or 3 people, then a month, that's not going to be a problem. But if it's 500 people a month, that's going to start adding up to be a fairly substantial amount of money. And you would want to give them an envelope where they can mail it back without cost. So we'd be picking up costs both ways. For a book, it's not going to be much, but you're probably talking $4 or $5 anyway per circulation. So if we have a moderate number, then I'd say we're eager to move forward. And if it can be done through the Meals on Wheels, then the cost is really almost non-existent.
Sure. That makes sense. Thank you.
Well, I was at a meeting on Wednesday and was told that the library has got the latest COVID tests and are giving them out. I didn't see that on your list.
We do. Those are given to us by the health department.
Right.
And so, yes, members of the public, should anyone be listening, they are first come, first served. We do limit the number per person to try to spread them around. I can tell you from personal experience last weekend that they are very easy to use and very quick and seem to be quite reliable. I got the sniffles and said, okay, I'm not going to infect anybody, and took one, and it turns out I was negative, and then I got over it really fast. So yes, we do have those kits now. Supplies, unfortunately, are limited as the health department gives them to us, though we disperse them.
That's a good thing to note as one of the service that the library is
thank you.
providing.
On that note, they have the health fair today too.
I'm sorry.
Not here. They have the health fair today too. Airport Drive. Oh, that's a different, sorry.
So Amy,
Thank you. So I'm really excited to talk about two grants that AM, our grants coordinator, has worked on for us here at Lexington Park Library. One of them is the TEDCO Makerspace Grant. You may remember that last year we did some fundraising and we raised a little over $96,000 because this TEDCO grant is a matching grant. And this year we were granted $54,800 through that grant. So we're super grateful to the TEDCO organization because we would not be able to go forward with creating our makerspace if they had not. So the goal of our makerspace, we are going to serve everyone, but we have sort of an additional mission to serve the youngest kids through high school because we found that problem solving skills, innovation skills, fine motor skills are things that children need to develop from the earliest ages in order to be successful in school. And so we are building those skills into our makerspace programs as we build out the space. So we have started doing makerspace programs without that space because of some of the other grants that we've received to support this effort. And we are now in the process of getting quotes because we're going to be building glass walls around that area, putting sound dampening over the ceiling where the ceiling would go. We need furniture in that room. There's other pieces of equipment that we're looking to purchase and so on. So we are just in a flurry of talking to vendors and making sure that we get quotes for all of those. So we are hoping to really see a lot of experimentation and low barriers to entry for people coming in to learn how to make and do things. So we will have a lot of equipment that the Leonardtown Library has, such as their Cricut machines, large format printer, hand tools. We also have what is called a Glowforge machine. It is a laser cutting machine. And we have pottery wheels, and we have lots of hands-on things for children to work on.
Question, if I may, from the money raised and the grants that are known and grants that may be known but aren't here yet, will there be money left over? And if so, how much?
We just don't have any idea until we get all of the quotes from all of our vendors in one place. And it is a little bit complicated because we do have particular grants that will pay for particular pieces of the puzzle of putting the makerspace together. For example, one of them is an accessibility grant, so that we are able to explore what the needs are of people with disabilities and to help serve that need within the makerspace. So we also have to navigate those different funding streams in order to meet the goals of those funders as well as build our makerspace.
And also, John, the grants are restricted. We have to spend the money on makerspace. It can't go into our general fund.
Well, that gets me to the point of my question. If the money is not spent, could it become a restricted endowment for makerspace?
We will spend it. I'm going to say that we will spend every dime that we're given. We plan on that. We'll work every quote into that, but I don't know the answer to that, possibly. But the grants, we have to report back to our grant givers as to what we spend the money on. So we can't just stock it away. It has to show, we have to show where we spent it.
But you raised some money outside the grant.
We did.
It would not have that restriction.
We spent most of the money that was raised, and the rest is already encumbered for other items within the makerspace.
Okay, thank you.
So how does this relate to the $2,500 or $2,600 that you had on your list earlier?
So Amy is discussing grants for the makerspace here at Lexington Park. The one that's on the request for the board to give money to is items for Leonard Town's
That's Leonard
makerspace.
Town's Makerspace.
For what?
Leonard Town's Makerspace is that
Thanks.
one. Yeah. Okay. Sorry if
Okay.
that wasn't clear. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's not in addition to this one, which we're
So
still.
this doesn't cover that
No,
25.
no.
Got it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the Makerspace grant that we could answer?
Did we look into food preservation at all for the makerspace at Lexington?
So that's not something that we've explored for this, because maker spaces tend to be technical and crafting spaces. We would need a commercial kitchen, and most likely one that is certified by the health department in order to conduct actual canning activities here in the library. We have explored classes for customers that would show people the process. And so my assistant manager, Nicole, is working on that. Unfortunately, I think with some of the other budget cuts, the extension folks who would ordinarily teach those classes they're having some schedule crunches. So we're still working on it though. Of course.
Could you use the kitchen at Garvey?
So probably not here for Lexington Park. But that if Leonard Town was interested, then absolutely, other Amy, there's two of us, would probably be talking with them and see what those possibilities are. Any other makerspace questions? We're really excited about this. It is complex and there's so many considerations that go into this. But it's fine. We're gonna do the work because the outcome is going to be outstanding. We're really excited about it. The other one that I'm super excited about is our Library Services and Technology Act grant. It is closing the reading gaps with trained volunteers, and we were awarded $35,600 for that. And so that grant is going to work with after-school programs to address reading achievement gaps, especially here where they're in the Lexington Park area where there are Title I schools. Excuse me. And so we are purchasing a particular curriculum. It's called Story Champs. It works on language comprehension, background knowledge about the world, and also how stories are structured, and gives children a learning framework. It is a program that can be administered by trained volunteers. So our youth coordinator and I are working with that company to get training. We will develop training for that system. We will recruit volunteers working with our 3 after-school sites that are from our community partners. We will train those volunteers and then we will support them at the sites in administering the Story Champs program.
And excuse me, is
Here-
that those things, that's going to take place at the school
Correct.
after the school day,
Absolutely. Yes.
not here?
No, it's going to be because children who are going to after school programs, they're already in those programs. So to come here and pull them out of their programs is a little challenging. So we're going to go out to those programs and support those kids where they already are.
By the use of trained volunteers,
Exactly.
not you all.
Right. Exactly. Oh, so we will be training the volunteers. It's a train the trainer kind of model.
Okay.
We are also going to be providing recorded read aloud books, such as our Vox books and our Wonder books, to these sites. High-low readers, which are high interest, low reading level books, and other materials that are interesting to students so that they can practice their literacy skills. We are also working with community partners to offer a phonics practice piece with this program. So in alignment with this language comprehension piece that we are doing. We're very excited about the possibilities of this partnership. Our community partners are working with St. Mary's College to train selected college students to tutor in phonics for these after-school programs as well. And then we will evaluate how the program goes. We are talking to the state library's data analysis program so that we can gather the data that they need. They're very much looking at this as something that they would like to replicate at other libraries. Other questions about the Reading Gaps grant? What did I not cover?
I think we're
Well done.
Again, we're really excited.
Yeah.
We're just gonna run these two grants like parallel, and get them done by the end of June. So yeah, it's gonna be really exciting.
The state library, as Amy indicated, has expressed interest in this and want to see how it works and can it be replicated in other counties. So we're very excited to be a pathfinder there. We do have the auditors with us now, so if you'll turn your attention there.
Good morning, Renata. This is Renata from Bolton.
S&B.
I'm sorry, S&B. Sorry, Renata. And then Chris
Nope.
Lehman is also from S&B.
Hi,
morning.
good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Are you ready
Okay.
for us to start?
Yes, please.
All right.
So I just
Renata,
sent
do you
in a
have-
request to share the presentation. Oh, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a presentation that we'll walk through that highlights the results of the audit as well as our observations and required communications as a result of the audit. So as we go through this, please feel free to jump in with any questions that you may have. So I'm Chris Lehman. I was the engagement partner again for the audit this year, as well as Renata Reese was our engagement manager. Next slide. So scope of services was for us to audit the June 30, 2025 financial statements for the library. In addition, we do provide assistance with the drafting of the financial statements. That is termed a non-attest service since we are not rendering an opinion on the preparation of the financials. And that is a service that we can provide under professional standards that does not impair our independence. We are substantially complete the audit. We still are going through some internal quality control review of the document, but our testing procedures are substantially complete. So we are planning to issue what's termed an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements. And that would be the best opinion we could give under professional standards. We did, excuse me, we did not discover any instances of fraud. A financial statement audit is not a forensic audit, but we are required to have a healthy skepticism that fraud could happen at any time by anyone. And we will have a slide that goes through our assessment of the internal control environment and the key processes, but we've discovered no material weaknesses in any of the control processes. And we also received the full cooperation of management. So all records that we asked for, we got adequate backup for those transactions. Any questions that we had, we received adequate responses to those. Next slide.
So the slide that you see here, this is our 4CAM audit approach. So if you've seen our presentations before, you've probably seen this slide we like to include in our presentations to governance. But what this is our risk-based audit approach. It's formatted like a funnel, and it is supposed to represent the time that we spent in the different areas of the audit, different phases of the audit. So we spend a lot of time during our planning, understanding, the business, understanding the environment and risks that are involved. We also spend a lot of time assessing and testing design and operations of controls. We meet with management for walkthroughs to understand the process owners and test different transactions there. From there, we can go through our financial close and reporting statement analysis, reviewing and analyzing the year-end balances. We'll also perform substantive testing procedures, so vouching of year-end balances, and of course, guest compliance, and then the reporting. So we always keep in mind to ensure that we are in compliance with auditing standards. From our planning, we did identify certain significant audit areas that are listed here. So cash controls and reconciliations, fixed asset accounting, completeness of liabilities. So we do perform a search for unrecorded liabilities, revenue recognition, and OPEB accounting. So this next slide is our assessment of the control environment. So we do use a 5 interrelated component framework when assessing the control environment to determine our level of reliance on internal controls. So those 5 areas are going to be the control environment, the risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring activities. And as you can see at the bottom here, when assessing those 5 areas, we've determined that they are designed effectively. And then just going a little bit over those control activities. So there are some key processes that were evaluated throughout our audit. So the treasury related to cash and investments, estimation, financial reporting. So that would involve closing the books, the general ledger, journal entry processing, revenue, that revenue recognition, expenditures, payroll, and then the fixed assets. And again, as you can see at the bottom of the slides, that for all of the key processes, we have assessed that they are designed and operating effectively. Okay, and then just going over some of the audit results, so some financial statement highlights. On this slide, you can see both 25 and 24 comparative balance sheet with the percentage of changes here. So cash and other assets as well as capital assets are the main assets that are there in the financial statements. And then on the liability side, the current liabilities, which will be your accounts payable, and then other liabilities. Main one here is the net OPEB liability. And then at the end of the year, the net position of the library, there is the net invested in capital assets agrees to the capital assets that are there. There's a restricted portion, and then remaining of the net position is unrestricted.
Hey, Renata, if I could just add, this is considered the entity-wide financial statements. There's 2 different bases of accounting required for government. So this does include long-term assets, such as the capital asset line that you see there. That's the second line, as well as as Renata mentioned, the OPEB activity. So this will differ. This will differ from the general fund, which is a governmental fund and does not report fixed assets or long-term or OPEB liabilities. The reason why you see a negative net position was that the OPEB accounting standard changed a few years in how OPEB liabilities were reported. And that OPEB liability is a key reason why that there's that negative net position. If you look in the draft financial statements, the general fund has a positive fund balance of roughly $828,000. So there is different accounting basis for those 2 types of activities. Any questions there before Renata moves to the statement of activities?
I have one if I may. Where do
Sure.
you get the numbers for capital assets?
Where do we get the numbers?
Yes.
That comes from management and the external bookkeeper that provides the fixed asset information to us. So that includes the additions that happen during the year, as well as any disposals and depreciation expense. That's tracked by the accounting firm.
Thank you.
We also
The
do
bookkeepers.
a survey of everything we have each year in preparation for the audit.
Any other questions?
Okay, Renata, if you want to go to the next slide.
Okay, so then on this next slide, this is the income statement where you can see the revenues and the expenses. Total revenues for FY25, 7.6 million approximately, which was an increase from last year. And that does include the budgeted appropriation from the county. It includes the county appropriation related to the facilities, state aid, and then some other revenues and grant revenues as well. And then on the expenses side, also there's a slight increase from last year. So total expenses approximately 7.7 million. Majority of there is going to be salaries and related benefits. That rent expense, even though it's an in-kind, you'll see both on the revenue and the expense side. So it's a net zero. The depreciation related to those fixed assets, and then some other expenses as well as gift and grant expenses in there. And then overall change in that position for FY25 was a negative 70,000. And again, as Chris mentioned, this is for what's called the government-wide, which it differs slightly from the fund statements.
Excuse me, just to be sure I understand two lines. Are you saying that the county donates facilities in the tune of $1.5 million or money in that value, and we turn around and send it right back to them as rent?
Well, not exactly. So this is in another sense, it's called in-kind accounting. So the buildings are the library building is owned and it's on the books of the county. So it's since the library's building's owned by the county, there's an estimate of what the value would be of that building if it was, rented. So it's really a in-kind. So it's a revenue in and it's an expense. So it really has no impact on net position. It's just the value that's been assigned for that space.
And no money actually changes.
Yeah, there's no financial ramification from a cash perspective on those numbers.
Thank you.
Yep. Good question. Any other questions? And these numbers, we did provide a draft, and these numbers came, directly from those draft financial statements. So we were going to just highlight those numbers there. Is there anything that you would like us to elaborate in the draft that was provided, or was this explanation adequate?
We just got it and are not due to look it over in
Okay.
more detail until Monday.
Okay, and that's fine. So
I would be interested in having your slides, the preface slides, to help us understand what you're looking at. Is that possible?
yes, we'll have Renata send this out to Michael, and he could distribute that to everyone.
Thank you.
Happy to share that with you.
Okay, next slide. And I'm not going to read through each one of these. Some of these I touched on at the beginning in the introduction. We had no audit adjustments that we identified through the audit, so that speaks to the quality of the trial balance that we were given and the general ledger to audit. There's, the accounting policies that the library follows. They follow GAAP. They are in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. Renata, if you want to go to the next slide. And as I mentioned before, we did not find any fraud in our audit and our procedures. We did not uncover any material weaknesses. We had no disagreements with management, really no issues or anything of a negative nature that we'd be required to bring to your attention through the completion of the audit. And then lastly, we do have our contact information in the back of the presentation. If there are questions, or as you review the draft, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us, or even outside of audit season, if there's an accounting matter or anything we could provide assistance on, just reach out to Renata and I, or really at any time. And I know you guys have the draft review. I believe we will be presenting at a follow-up meeting, and we could go through any other questions you have then, or you could reach out to us prior to the next meeting. Either way would be completely fine.
With regard to the
I
OPEB
think it's important
liabilities,
that we review this audit between now and the 21st.
Mhm.
And I think if you have any significant questions, we either get back to Belinda or Michael, and maybe they can clear them up before we get to our meeting, so that on the 21st, we could pretty much have our questions aligned, answered, and we can vote to accept the audit would be the goal, I think.
Yeah, please do ask any questions. We'll make sure that those get to the auditor and they will be able to address them then if necessary, but we'll try to get you answers beforehand so that you go in fully informed.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris and
very
Renata.
much.
Does the board have any more questions for them?
just one, you all don't do the actuarial study, do you?
Well, all the OPEB data that's included within the draft financial statements is coming from an actuarial valuation, and we do review that as part of our audit. We look at the assumptions that are being used, we look at the data that's being provided to the actuary, and then conclude, do we believe the results are reasonable given the inputs, the assumptions that go into it are going to be the driver of the liability and the outputs that come out of it.
All
But
right,
yeah, so long-winded way to say yes.
all right, got it.
That report comes from Bolton, and just a
Yes.
reminder to the board that in December, you're going to be hearing from Bolton about the assumptions governing the OPEB and be able to make decisions about whether you wish to continue it as it was planned many, many years ago when the county was giving us money, or wish to modify how you want the audit, how you want the OPEB to look in December.
If the board has no other questions, then we can let Chris and Renata go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
It is 10:45. Typically, I ask at this point if you wish to have a break of 5 minutes.
Or now.
If not, I'll press forward. Um,
Can I ask if the board has any questions about the audit for me right now, from what you heard from them?
We just got it.
I just got it last night, so I
I know,
haven't
so did
had a
I.
chance to even-
So did I.
I
Okay,
have some
thank you.
questions for you, but I'll get to you individually.
Okay.
It's more about my education than it is about the.
Moving forward then, the Charlotte Home Renovation Update, I'm in contact with Gary Bipple and Ben, who are sort of overseeing this project. They have not heard back on their most recent draft from the finance department on procurement. They anticipate this going out very soon. So we will be hiring an architect. It should be about a 1-month period of assessments. The county commissioners will look at the proposed proposals from the architect, and we will then very quickly move forward to have a design, a construction schedule, and a construction estimate to apply for a $2 million grant from the state. And all indications are that that capital money is going to be there from the state for the year that we wish to apply. Obviously, if major changes happen in the budget, we don't know, but we're anticipating that that capital grant money will be there. It is there this year. So wish us luck with that. You asked at the last meeting for strategic updates, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the information that you want. So I did not know if you wanted an oral report on just some sort of strategic movements or if you want a written report. So which would you prefer, or both?
I think it was my request. And what I was thinking was having the director's report and these things that you're reporting structured with the format of the strategic goals,
Okay.
so that it would be like, the strategic goal that we had for community outreach and working with at-risk populations. And then you would be able to talk about, the story times that would fit under that, the outreach that you're doing to the prison, all of those things, but structuring it so that it aligns to the strategic goals, so we can kind of trace backwards and say, this is how you've implemented what that 3-year plan was.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And it will just require organizing it in a different way, but that's certainly no trouble to do. And so a document like this is not requested, but I will give you an update on just some things that we are doing here. A couple of them you've already heard already, but under digital literacy, one of our 4 strategic areas, we have added anytime audiobooks, Canopy and Comics Plus, once we drop 2 Plus. So we're going to be evaluating the return on investment of those. The anytime audiobooks are available through our Palace app. And again, I encourage people to use Palace rather than Libby. I know that you know Libby and you like Libby, but Palace has much more content in it, including anytime audiobooks. Any number of people can get them at the same time. You don't have to return them. They'll stay on your device as long as you want to keep them. So you don't actually own them, but they don't have like a return where you've got to get them back. So I, on any commute, am taking advantage of these. Those are not necessarily the absolute newest bestsellers, but there's lots and lots of great content there, including content from Audible, which is not available through the Libby app at all. So that is something that we're really touting as a great addition to our services. I hope that you will consider looking into that. We are having administration personnel attend every branch meeting. So the branch managers get together with their staff on a monthly basis. There's typically 2 meetings a month. And we are now me and Marianne have been doing it specifically, our deputy director, just to try to facilitate communication, because we heard in our staff survey, we'd like to know more, we'd like to hear more. And we're having then sort of at least once a month with all employees hands-on. You get to ask the director whatever you want, ask the deputy director whatever you want. We have been clarifying policies as you enact them and ask questions about them. There are scenarios and role plays there. So we will, with our next staff survey, which will be a year from now, ask that question again and hope that this hands-on involvement is going to indicate, yes, there is greater communication at administration through down to everyone. We hear your concerns. That's under Embrace Innovation. Also under Embrace Innovation was established a Lexington Park Youth STEAM-oriented makerspace, and you've heard about that already. Under Community Gathering was to conduct the community survey in October, and that's available right now to the public. And we are getting as much as we can in terms of responses. We'll be looking at the data and reporting back to you, and you'll be able to see the data yourselves. We don't keep it secret. You see all the survey responses yourselves. be ready for a lot of reading, because we do give people the opportunity not just to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or yes or no. They get to say what they want to say. The Charlotte Hall renovation is part of community gathering, and we are still working on that. The Charlotte Hall art space, Brittany, you want to give an update on that?
So the art gallery has been installed. I'm working with the St. Mary's County Arts Council to get an artist up for the end of October through November. Right now, however, in the meantime, we do actually have a staff member, Naomi, who has her art currently on display. So I invite you all to come on up to Charlotte Hall to see the new space.
And I visited Charlotte Hall to go to the branch meetings last week, or was it earlier this week? Sorry, the time just all runs together. And saw that Naomi is incredibly talented. So we have invited her to do a full show there, as well as getting, these typically come through the Arts Council. People apply through the Arts Council. The Arts Council vets things, and there they are in the library. Also under community gathering, we are celebrating our 75th anniversary. Tomorrow is Lexicon. People will be coming dressed in period costume of their choice. And then on the 25th, at Leonardtown from 1 to 4, there is the Diamond Jubilee there, and we'll be having all kinds of activities there. So if you, we've invited the county commissioners, who I hope some of them will be coming out to that celebration on the 25th at Leonardtown.
Michael,
So lots going on at your library.
Michael,
Yes.
I'd like to add on to the 75th. Every Friday in October, our staff are dressing up. So last Friday was Character Day, but a secret email went out for everybody other than Michael to have the staff dress as Michael. So they did.
And
Michael
I
sent
shared,
some pictures.
I shared photos with you.
This Friday today is library colors, so you might see some blue and yellow or blue and gold. And do you know what next Friday is? I think it's like decades or the years of the library, and then the last one will be just Halloween. So
Okay.
Michael, is the foundation doing anything around the 75th anniversary?
Yes, they are coming. The foundation and the friends are coming to tables, and they'll not be here tomorrow. There's just too much going on with Lexicon. People aren't going to be stopping at tables. They're going to be parading, and they're going to be celebrating, and they're going to have activity after activity. They will be there on the 25th at Leonardtown. They're setting up tables in the lobby, and they'll just say, hey, we're the friends, we're the foundation, have brochures to give out, information to give out. So yes. Speaking of lots of events at the library, you asked at the last meeting to hear more about the events that the library is doing. And again, I'd kind of like some clarification on exactly what you'd like to see, but I have given you all the events that are happening in October. And I hope that your overall impression is, oh my goodness, look at everything they are doing. Rather than go through each individual one, I'll say, do note the heavy emphasis on youth services programs, especially before school. Libraries look upon parents as their first and best teachers, but often even before they are, go to a public school or a private school teacher, they are interacting with the library. And we have specialists who help parents learn to read to their children better. It's not just read them a book, it's engage them. And the more you do that, and that's part of our 500 by 5 program, the more likely they are to be literate adults moving forward. Already by 3rd grade, you can see a difference between people who have that exposure and don't. So we're setting people up for a lifetime learning, and that's something that we really are proud of, the number of things that we do. You see all the visits from the mobile library. There are also many teen and adult programs as well. And so we do also bring in outside experts to do things. For example, if you look on the 14th, and these are divided by days, at the next to the bottom, you'll see Administration de Seguridad Social, and I'm not going to try to do a Spanish accent. Someone's going to come in to present about Social Security in Spanish.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah.
that has been postponed due to federal appropriation.
Okay,
laws.
sorry about
But
that.
we will hold
Yes.
it again.
We
once they
will do
open.
that. So I didn't know, did you want me to just sort of present you, here's everything, and have you ask questions, or would you like us to present you something more targeted and say, here's a really interesting program or two interesting really programs this month?
I, for one, always check the event, so I'm glad that you did this for, people who don't go in and look at the events. It's always very interesting. I try to attend at least one or two a month. It's always something, even if it's just a lobby visit, they do have something for everyone.
I like the idea of highlighting one or two a month that are particularly different or interesting.
Maybe by library.
Yeah,
So we would know, here are the three big things that happened in Leonard Town.
Well, we'll make it 4 big things and throw in the mobile library too. So 1 from each. All right, sounds good. I will talk to the branch managers about that on Tuesday when we have our meeting, but Laura and Jill are our programming coordinators, and they will also sort of indicate, hey, here's the one we would most like to talk about, because I'm trying to have more people than me talk at these meetings. So
I also
expect
really,
to hear from, maybe even we'll bring in some of the programmers themselves. I'd love to do that. It'll depend on their work schedules. So thank you for that guideline.
I also really like this single sheet of the highlights for the last month. I think that's really useful to see.
So thank you, Laura, for putting that together. We do have branch managers, administration, everybody sort of contributes to it. Here's what's happening, and then Laura takes that, organizes it, makes it much more attractive than the initial presentation. So Laura, thank you for your work on that. With that, we'll move to action items. I did present you with a list of the holidays for calendar year 2026. These are the ones that are just typically called for by the library's policies. There's no additions there. So you have that list. In some cases, for example, the 4th of July, Independence Day is observed by the federal government on the Friday, since it's on a Saturday, but the library does observe the 4th itself. So those are the proposed holidays for 2026. If I could get you to approve those, I don't think there's anything particularly unusual about any of them.
Should be a correction on the date for the Native American Heritage Day. Should be November 27th.
That is probably correct. Thank you. If Thanksgiving is the 26th, and that should be the 27th day after. Yes, thank you.
Thanksgiving is the 27th. Oh, sorry, sorry. You're correct.
Yeah, so that
You're
should be 27th. Thank you.
Right, with that correction, could we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, last month you approved the library resident safety and security policy as required by Maryland state law, that HB 1222, and they haven't renamed that yet, has, libraries are supposed to give service regardless of immigration status. And the Maryland Attorney General's office put out those guidelines And basically, sorry, we just plugged the library into them.
Mhm.
And then there was a request to add something about video, and that's in blue on the second page is the addition to the policy you've already approved. I looked into this, and incidentally, you also asked to make sure if our attorney felt comfortable advising on this, and the answer is yes. If I were to visit and we ask them to wait and I show up and they say, okay, here's our warrant or here's our exigent request. I can go back to them and they feel confident that they are able to advise us on the legality of this sort of visit. But the question about videoing is an interesting one. So I've got a policy I think will cover the ramifications of it. There is a First Amendment right to video a law officer, law enforcement officers in public spaces. My recommendation to our staff, however, will be due to the risks of the agent not knowing that right, and we have seen instances of ICE agents seizing cameras from people who are reporters who have got their reporter badge, who are legitimate. You're also supposed to be able to make sure you're doing it from a safe distance, which is not from here to there. You should be like 30 feet away if you're doing this. You make it clear, this is First Amendment, I'm doing this. And also there could be a conflict with exigent circumstances. All right, you say it's an exigent circumstance, I pull up my camera right here, I'm going to video you. I think there's just too many instances where this is going to be very problematic for our staff to do. So I've got a policy here that says, we're not going to punish you if you do, but please, please, please just don't. Stand aside, de-escalate. If they're here, we want to just do our best to make sure that this is as peaceful a visit as we possibly can. So far, we don't think there have been any ICE visits to St. Mary's County. There were rumors of them, but the sheriff's department said, we don't think that those are justified. They have happened in Charles County. A library person up there was subject to being stopped by ICE. It was not a good experience. This is a small person, not at all threatening. The agent walked up to her car and said, it's a good thing you kept your hands on the steering wheel. I would have shot you. These are not people who are here to play nice. We don't want our employees in any way giving them an opportunity to be more forceful than they need be. So this is our policy. Due to the risk of agents not knowing that right, the possibility of conflict, especially in exigent circumstances, the need always to open video from a safe distance, which library spaces may not allow, and the complications of filming within a limited public space. The library out there, it's public, but it's called a limited public space under law. We tell people you can't video here. So we don't think it's a good idea to have our staff then say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and video. We recommend that employees should refrain from videoing ICE activities. So that's the policy that I've got recommended here that I am asking for your approval or comments on.
I would move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I've given you a list of the meeting schedules for the board that would be in place if you continued the Fridays in the morning. I have reserved the meeting rooms a year in advance for these, but I can quickly cancel those. At our last meeting, you indicated you might wish to change the board day and or time. So obviously I can't do that for you, but I do need to schedule the meeting rooms. So the public have access to them 3 months out. So already in January, you know, I'm concerned we're gonna have to shoehorn something in. So if we could have you give me your thoughts about when you would like to have a meeting.
I can speak for myself is that the best times for me are Wednesdays or Thursdays.
You
for
say just a little loud.
I'm sorry. Although I'm flexible, the best times for me are Wednesdays or Thursdays at 4. I know that the Smyrla board meets at the second Tuesday at 4.
I would also really appreciate a Thursday afternoon after 3 o'clock,
Thursday after 3.
after 3.
My only concern is I'm reluctant to drive at night. And so that would be a problem if the meeting goes to in the winter beyond when it gets dark.
You could join us via Zoom.
sorry?
You could join us via Zoom.
Yeah, I could
That's
do
not
that.
as
That's
great
fine.
an option, but if it were a particularly dark evening, so if we started at 3, let's say, if we went to 5:30, it would be dark.
Right.
So on those days, you could join via Zoom, though. I mean, if that's going to be insuperable for everybody else, you know.
Wasn't one of the concerns to make sure the library staff was available too?
Yes.
Afternoons are not bad for library staff.
Sunset in December is at 4:45.
Yeah. Well, I'll just try to keep the meeting short.
Last light is usually like 20, 30 minutes after that.
Yeah, so if we did 3 o'clock, say, would that work for you
Sure.
as well?
3
3 o'clock
on Thursday.
would put us done about 5. It would be dark probably in December, but it
We
wouldn't
should do that
be
in winter
perfect. Sounds good.
I know my way home from there. Yeah, that would be okay.
So did you wish to change already for November and December?
I would like that very much. I'm currently using vacation time to come to meetings.
Okay. Let's do, am I hearing consensus around Thursdays at 3 o'clock?
Hold on,
Linda
Michael.
has a question.
Yes.
A few things, November and December meeting rooms in the afternoons are often booked. So we have to check for that first for 2025. We
Mhm.
can probably still get in for 2026, but we also need to know what week of the month you want this. So you've chosen Thursdays at 3. Is it still the second Thursday? Is it the third? So you also have to pick that.
I think the second Thursday is fine. Caitlin, if you have any thoughts on this, make sure we know them.
Okay, well, I will look at November and December, but next year should not be a problem. It could be that we'll have to stick with either November or December for this time, just because the meeting room's already booked. And we will do our best to, I'll send out a schedule probably Monday of what those dates and times will be, for you. And then I think you probably still want to go ahead and vote to do the change.
So could we get a motion to move our meetings for 2026 to second Thursday of the month at 3 p.m.?
I would make that motion.
All right. Can we get a second?
I haven't seconded it yet.
Oh,
I'll second it. I mean, but 9:30 works for me, but if that works for more people, I'll second.
any other discussion? All right.
For November, only the Longfellow room is available at 3 p.m.
What is available?
Longfellow.
Could you book it right now?
in December right now. There's also only the Longfellow room.
Could we do this for next year?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
that was the way I
would
think.
that be okay?
Yes.
All right,
Leave
so-
it the way it is.
yeah, sure,
Absolutely.
all right. In that case, it will be Leonardtown in November and Lexington Park in December at 9:30 on Fridays. And then next year I will get you that schedule well ahead of time. And can you already look for January? Yeah, okay.
All right.
Wait,
we
we
have
still
a,
don't have a
yeah,
motion.
yeah, we have a motion
second.
on the floor to be voted on.
Okay.
All right.
Change this in starting in January.
All right. Now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, every year we are,
We haven't heard from Caitlin and I
Yeah.
don't think everybody voted, so we need a opposed and an abstain.
any opposition or abstentions?
I'll abstain.
We'd also need Judith.
Okay.
I said we'd also need Judith, correct?
Okay,
And there's no news from Caitlin online?
Joined, so
Okay.
Caitlin, if you're there, there's a vote to move the meetings to second Thursdays at 3 p.m. starting January 2026.
That works for me.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, every year we do an annual report, that goes up to the state library and to the county. And last year you indicated that you would like to see our typical annual report, which is really the last 2 pages of this, the ones that are required by the state. And our community impact into a single annual report. And we gave that to you last month. Judith had a couple of quick corrections on it that have been added to this annual report. So we do need the annual report approved, and I will be sending that up to the state and over to the county when you do.
Where did we get all these smiling faces?
These are just photographs taken of the library throughout the year.
We take photos of all events and just general activity in the library whenever possible.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Kind of.
Kind of.
We have a policy in place that is a opt-out. And so we have asked every single individual that is shown in this if we can use their photos on social media for promotional purposes within the library. And so we have that release, but it is not a written signed release because of that policy. But we do speak to everybody, and we've had this in place for about 8 years. And so far we've only ever had one issue. And of course, if somebody were to say something has changed and I don't want my photo used, we would just swap out the photo. But so far we've never had an issue, except one time it was a social media post and their personal situation had changed and we took the photo down.
Well, my only comment is I think we need to be careful. It's a fine line. Because if we go to the personnel manual, isn't photographing of children forbidden?
Yes, without permission of the parent. So a parent could take a photo of their own child in the library. That is allowed within our policy. And we are allowed to take photos with permission. So for the children, especially, we're not asking the child if we can take their photo. We're always asking their adult or guardian with them, if that's appropriate. And we do 100% of the time ask. It's something that we take very seriously. But we do not do signed releases anymore.
How many residents are there in St. Mary's County? Do we have anybody, no? Anybody
About
know?
116,000,
Sorry,
about 116,000.
but we have about a third of the population
About a
who are
third.
borrowers.
Yeah, I should comment that these are accurate numbers. These are people actually using their card within the last 3 years. Previously, and it's still the case in many libraries in Maryland. If you got a card, they never say, okay, you're not using it. So you could have 110% market penetration. We don't. This is an honest number. These are people actually using their card.
That actually borrow.
Yeah, it's about a third of the population, yes.
I would
and
also,
other things to consider with that number too is they have to have used their card in the last, I believe it's 2 years.
Thought it
Or
was
is it 3 years?
3 years,
Maybe
yeah,
3 years.
3 years.
And also there are a lot of people who are checking out not only for themselves. And so our household reach is actually pretty good as well. But this is the number of card holders that we have.
yeah,
I-
that's exactly what I was going to say. In my family, it was easier to control one card than 5. So
Yeah,
we use the
right.
same card for everyone in the family. So the numbers don't quite
Don't
line
quite
up with,
line up.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's a substantial part of the community. To that end, I asked Michael this earlier, I think this is a terrific report. And I wonder if it should be given to the visitor center, the visitor center to St. Mary's County. Because the visitor center and the people in the visitor center are trying to attract businesses, are trying to attract people to move to St. Mary's County. And I think this is a real asset in the county, and we ought to help them to promote it. This is a great report, I think. I
Well,
really
and-
enjoyed reading it. And I think the data is there that says this is an ongoing, active.
And along those same lines, maybe the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development folks.
Leonardtown Business Association, they don't hand out materials typically. But the visitor center is a place where when somebody's thinking about moving here, they stop and what's going on. And if this is available, maybe you can even do an excerpted version or something so that it was a fold out, or I don't know. But
We might want to do a shortened version, because I'm sure the print costs will be on us.
yeah, right, right.
Typically, we primarily release it electronically. We do share it with all the local media, so Bayonet, Enterprise. We did have a nice spread in County Times a couple of weeks back. I hope everybody got a chance to see that. Let's think about how best to do this, but officially it has to go up to the state and then to the county. So
I would make a motion to approve the annual report.
Second,
oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll
Well-
second that.
it has been requested that you do so. So
Okay. Any more discussion?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
aye.
And for both the audit and the annual report, we may do it together. We'll probably do a press release, just to indicate. And these do all get posted on our website, so there's a historical record of them. But we'll probably do a press release just to indicate to the county that we are good financial stewards and doing a lot.
It's good that it's aimed at a broad audience. Sometimes corporate annual reports can be a little more targeted than that.
Question for the staff. A couple of years ago, we all had a update on, and I think formulated a policy on culling inactive cards. Can you refresh my memory, and where are we on that process?
So Amy and
Yes.
might have better information. We do have it on a rolling basis that if they're inactive for a certain period of time and they don't have a hold on the card, like if they don't owe a huge amount of money, they are deleted after a certain period of disuse.
And you remember what that period was?
It's 5 years. 5 years for us, yes. And that we were talking with Smyrla, that's going to become regional wide. I believe they're going to do 7 years. So because we just did that when we went fine free, We don't have this backlog of money that's never going to come in, but right now, Charles and Calvert do have substantial amounts of money dating back, fines dating back 15, 20 years. You're never going to see it. So it kind of skews the audit a little bit. It looks like you're owed all this money. You're never going to see it. So it's going to become a regional as well as a St. Mary's practice.
To the same.
They're going to use 7, but we've been using 5. We'll probably, we're already within, for the next couple of years, within what they're going to be doing. So we may revert over to that, but right now we're already there.
So I actually think we're talking about two different things. The 5 years that we use is the fines on an audit on a card. So we actually clear the fines on a card after 5 years. And we don't use those for the audit. The cards themselves also get purged on a certain number. Cards are good for 10 years. And then if they expire with no fines or anything like that, within a couple years after that, they're purged. If they are not expired, I don't know what the timeline is for purging them if they aren't used.
I think we're talking about just getting rid of the fines on cards. And then at 10 years, this is, again, we're sort of talking about this with Southern Maryland Regional Library Association right now. At 10 years, I think then they're going to disappear completely.
Like maintain a database of everyone who's ever owned a library card in St. Mary's County. We do purge that information on a rolling basis based on how long it's been unused and like how old it is and fines on it. So there's a couple, that's why it's a little confusing, is it's kind of like a decision tree. It's like, well, if this, then that. So there are policies in place though. And like Michael said, we're trying to make it consistent throughout Southern Maryland. So we're working towards that right now, but we don't keep it indefinitely.
Thank you.
So, but these are real card holders.
All right. Next is old trustee business.
Yes, I have received my annual assessment from the trustees, and I thank you for that generous account. It did not include director goals. I proposed, it said complete for the prior year, but I did not see any goals for this year on it. So I didn't see them there.
Okay.
I proposed goals for you in July and August, and you said you'd rather wait until the assessment was done. So unless there's something I didn't see, but I don't think so. I gave it a pretty good go over. It had the prior year goals that it talked about, but I didn't see, here's a goal for this upcoming year. So if I could just have a list of those, so that I know what I should be particularly concentrating on, but I have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be. So that's the only thing I had.
I think we do have those. We can get them to you by November
Okay.
meeting.
Or you can just email them to me. It's fine. They don't have
Yeah,
to be approved.
absolutely.
Yeah, just email them to me whenever you've got. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other old trustee business? And new trustee business?
An update on the applications and John Walters, I just want to say, it seems you're not going to go for second term. I want to thank you for all the great work you've done for this board.
No, I'm not done. Save
I know you're not.
Save it.
I'll save it, but I just want to say, so there will be that opening. And we already have 10 applications. Those applications close on October 15th. On October 15th, 16th, I will share those with you. Just a reminder, they are completely confidential. So while we can print them off as packets, nobody else other than you are allowed to see them. And we will ask that you turn them back in, so that we may be assured that they are shredded. You will have then about a 3-week period in which you can schedule interviews, and I'm happy to help with that process. We do have to have those start as open meetings, but they can be on Zoom because that is accessible, and you can say, okay, here is the date of the open meeting. You then open the meeting, you close it, you have your interviews. And at the end of that process, you will select at least 3 names, because we've got more than 3 people applying, to pass on to the county commissioners. They are hoping by the second week of November to have those names. And I've given you those dates via email, because they don't want to wait until December to approve. They're having trouble, they find, with the various holidays happening, making sure that they meet in December in a way that they can all approve the next trustee for the library. So that's kind of where we are with that.
So we would have an open meeting at which we would immediately close
Yes.
and then do the interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do all of us do the interview?
Typically, we have the interviews. What we've done in the past is that the interviews are open for as many board members as can attend, since it's on Zoom. And then we will delegate 1 or 2 to ask the questions that we have pre-prepared. And then other questions that come up, anyone's free to talk. It is very rare that we can get all of the board members to attend all of the interviews, so they are also recorded to watch later.
And the preparation of the questions, is that something we do at the first closed meeting?
Usually.
Or,
Yeah.
and then I'm just trying to figure out what the process.
Yeah, yeah. Usually it's at
There-
the beginning of the first closed meeting.
We could go in with the historic questions.
Yes, that's also true.
Update them as needed. And then, as Sharon said, some people can't make it on this day or that day. And it kind of winds up being, well, somebody can be at all the interviews, but somebody else can be on Tuesday, whoever's showing up on Tuesday, but not on Wednesday, that kind of thing.
I see.
We've typically also set the interviews back to back for, like 3 at a time. So you're not sitting there forever, but it's a block of time that you can allocate.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually
As
about,
a victim of the process.
Now you've seen the other side.
usually about half an hour per
Yeah.
interviewee.
Yep,
Okay.
usually.
And we will schedule time for the library Zoom. What will have to happen will be usually that I will open it up and immediately turn over to the first trustee who comes in as the meeting administrator, and I drop off. So I'm not a part of picking my own board here. You all get your own choices.
Because you have a paid Zoom account.
The other question and is for me is, so we've now done all this and we've come up with our 3.
Mhm.
We give our 3 to Michael.
That is the typical way to do it. Yes,
And
I'm
when we
considered your
do, is that
liaison.
confidential to you
Yes.
and only you?
Yes, I'm your liaison with the board. So for example, like what's happening right now is as the applications come in, they're coming to me. So yes, that is the process. I do get to see the names, and I am sort of allowed to refer them back to the county, but I don't have any say in the actual selection process.
So you're just the mailman.
I'm the mailman.
Yep.
I'm your
But
liaison.
the
yeah.
point is that isn't shared with the staff or with other people. That list
Typically,
of 3
typically
names.
no, but if a name comes up that I think we may have had some problems with, I may ask about that, but yeah.
That's something you should advise us of when you send us the names,
Okay.
as opposed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
waiting until we picked this person who is not
Yeah.
acceptable to you for some reason. or
We
problematic. Don't let us make that
it's
mistake.
rare. It's rare that has happened, but it has happened before. Just, in 2018, we had somebody apply to be on the board who was involved with trying to change Maryland law on how the board was appointed and had said to me in person, I'm going to get you over the homeless in the library, Blackwell.
But if you let us know that
Yeah,
before we
so,
do the
yeah,
interview,
we do let you know that, yes.
If I remember the, what the memorandum says, it's like one nominee and then two alternates.
It really says three.
Three and
So
one.
typically what you do is you say, here's our 1, 2, and 3, but remember the county commissioners
They can,
are able to select whoever they would like from the 3. They may not choose people outside your list. They do not have to select any of them. We've never had that happen. But you know, if you sent a list of 3 and they looked at it and said, we know there's people, we don't like them, they wouldn't have to, in which case the position would either stay open or the person occupying it could continue until a decision was reached. Who knew libraries were so complicated?
And that last point is actually in Maryland law. If
Yes.
there is no follow-on appointment,
Yeah, exactly.
they stay in office.
That's part of Maryland code, yes. And there's even an attorney general ruling on it because let's just say not every county has been careful about how they did the process.
all right. All right, thank you. If there's no other business, we get a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
All right.
second.
All those in favor?
Well, thank you very much. I understand we may be in through some nasty weather this weekend. Everybody be careful.
Northeast.